Before we dive in, please tell us more about your journey.
Okay, hi Aishi. I'm so excited to be here. So thank you for this opportunity. Actually, okay, so for most procurement personnel, usually when it comes to how do you start your journey, it's usually by accident. Like for myself, I was actually on a holiday. I wanted to cover one of my friends because she was going away for like 3 months. So I just happened to cover her for a finance role. And then the 3 months was over, and when I went over to take over, like I wanted to leave, I said bye. I wanted to start something on my own actually. They decided to create a role for me, and that's when I think that's when this was like about 10 years ago, 10 to 12 years ago. So that's when procurement started to be, something that everybody wanted to create. So that's when it started for me. So it was a lot of learning because I graduated from a supply chain and logistics background, but it's not really like procurement is just part of supply chain. So it's really a lot of learning for me. Yes.
Wow, that's actually something exciting to know that
Mhm.
you just accidentally ended up in something that helped you grow so much in your journey. So,
Yes.
what exactly would you say procurement is like? So, the reason I'm asking is like the audience is people like me. We are extremely new to the sector. So, for me, it's been 6 months that I have done started with my master's. I'm still
Okay.
trying to understand the different sides. So please tell us more about what the sector is like, how do you actually grow in it, and yeah, everything about the sector.
Okay, so I mean, you're doing a master's in
Global
procurement, supply chain,
logistics.
global
Ah,
logistics.
yeah.
So okay, so actually personally, I graduated with a diploma in chemistry.
Oh
And
wow.
yeah, so when I did internship, my internships were like in the lab. It was very
Uh-huh.
boring. So I didn't really get to talk to people, and I felt like that's not something I want to do. And that's why, like for myself, I decided to pursue a degree in as a global logistics because I feel like there's a lot of area for you to think of solutions, how to get things done. So it's like they you learn different strategies, and it really comes down to how you apply it later. So that's how I also started in logistics. So like okay, let's say procurement, for example. Previously I think procurement was known as purchasing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so purchasing is really like you place an order, and then the supplier delivers it and you pay them. So that's the end of it.
Yeah.
So I think
Uh-huh.
over the years, it changed to procurement, whereby even before you start buying it from a supplier, we will see whether, like, let's say you want to buy something, for example, or you need something. We will assess and see whether is it something you need. Instead of buying, is there other places we can get it from? I mean, maybe we will provide other solutions. So like, let's say we really have to go ahead and buy, then we will provide you a list of suppliers. So I think over the years it changed a lot. It's very exciting because sometimes I think it allows you to think out of the box and provide different solutions. Yeah, so it's challenging. Some days are good. It's just that sometimes some stakeholders they want things yesterday, but I think it's very normal, very normal.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh wow, that's actually great to know. So the way I like to think is so because it's so fresh, I like to relate it to my real life scenes that I know. So I like to put it like how my mom buys vegetables with the whole bargaining process. Is
Yep.
that more or less the procurement part, we could say?
Yeah, you can say so. Like, first
Yeah.
you ask her, why do you need to buy vegetables? Like,
Ah,
why? Like,
okay.
what are you making? Okay, let's see. Maybe she says she's making something, maybe you can share with her. So that's where also innovation in procurement comes in. Sometimes your
Uh-huh.
suppliers say we have different type of innovation. So let's
Mhm.
take your mom, for example.
Yeah.
You ask, let's say she want to make a dish, and you tell her, hey, actually, do in recently, instead of vegetables, they're using something else.
Uh-huh.
So it could be a new dish, or it could also be
Yeah.
a cheaper type of vegetable. I'm not sure. It's
Mhm.
a different solution where you explore and you see
Yeah.
how you can do things out of the norm. So
True.
and let's say she really wants the vegetable. Okay, let's just go
Mm-hmm.
back to she really wants vegetable, and maybe you can suggest to her, these are like these top three suppliers. We can go to them to buy supply
Uh-huh.
vegetables, and because they have very good portfolio, like how to say, they're very good customers, clients. So it's not just price, it's about the
Uh-huh.
quality as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it
Wow.
gives you a, yeah,
Mhm.
it really gives you a choice, like a consulting, mindset.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's actually exciting. So I read it in one of your posts. You said that the puzzles and stories behind each contract. So how do you keep yourself so excited and motivated about the same like monotonous job of talking to suppliers, dealing with them, trying to find new solutions? I would
So,
love to know more about the
hmm,
story. Yeah.
yeah. So, okay. So, I would say that
Mm-hmm.
like most contracts, even though they are the same, like let's say the
Mm-hmm.
category, usually when
Yeah.
you renew contract, it's always different.
Oh.
Yeah, it's always different. Like you might try to challenge the current price. Maybe you explore
Mm-hmm.
market prices, and you want to, definitely you want to challenge the status quo. So you might have new suppliers, and the new supplier might have new suggestion. Sometimes
Mm-hmm.
they will say, "Let's do it this way."
Yeah.
So yeah, so it's a lot of learning. Like I mean, I have a lot of stories actually, but so sometimes, yeah. So I mean, definitely trying to get a contract in place is I mean, it's a good long term solution. But
Uh-huh.
sometimes it can also, okay, let's say I have a contract for scrap metal, for example, and then I do it for 5 years. But then you realize 2 years down the road, the pricing of scrap metal decreased, and your contract is actually more expensive.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it depends on you. It really depends on looking at the commodity and seeing whether is it worth, like, even when you do contract, you need to see whether you want to have it long term, short term. And then sometimes some good suppliers or our partners, they will suggest and say, actually, don't do so long, do it like for 2 years. So these are kind
Mm-hmm.
of partners and suppliers that you need, and you learn from them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is that is something that we actually don't realize when we're just thinking about it. So when I asked you about the purchasing side, so my brain was like, okay, so you purchase a particular thing every single time. So what's the difference? And you did explain it very beautifully as to how it can change. So it's more like seeing the potential in the material in the longer run, if that's how we
Yes.
could put it. Maybe. Yeah. Okay, that does give a better clarity about what procurement is about. And I read it that you have mentioned that it is more than just spreadsheets. So which of your project actually made you think that, wow, procurement is worth my time and effort?
Okay, so okay, other than okay, so there are a few projects that
Mhm.
I've done, like sourcing. Okay, so previously I was with an IFM, which means it's integrated facility management, whereby um I do procurement like services for the whole island, because the business won a whole island. So, and the island has been with the incumbent for 30 years. So it's a lot of change. So, I mean, I think I just looked at it as a scope and everything. Like, okay, there's so many lines of scope, let's take over. But then you realize that actually there are some potential suppliers who can do 2 to 3 scopes together. So that's when
Mhm.
you explore, you realize, oh, you actually can lump them together. Or sometimes, when you do Excel, when you do price comparison and everything, you look at
Uh-huh.
it as a data, but sometimes you don't, if you don't know your supplier's potential, you won't know what they're able to do, you know?
True.
Yeah, then you realize actually I can get it at a cheaper price, it's value for money. I can have a supplier go down, he can clean it, and he can do pest control at the same time. You save on manpower, because manpower issues is really crazy nowadays.
Soon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
then sometimes they change to robots. So I feel like the Excel will just tell you price. I mean, it's good. You learn a lot, but I feel like there's more than just the Excel.
Yeah.
Yes, and sometimes even negotiation, it's really up to you. And sometimes how you speak to your suppliers, or sometimes you should work with your stakeholders and say, hey, actually, I want to reduce the price. Is there anything we can change the scope? Maybe, like, if we look at like a maintenance scope, and actually it's suggested that you do the maintenance like 4 times a year, but actually, when you speak to your supplier or stakeholders, you realize actually we don't really use this item very often. So maybe we can still do one. So like that,
Yeah.
we change price. So it's really more than how you look at it. How can you change the scope? How can you reduce the price.
Yeah.
So yeah, so whenever I do my Excel sheet, I feel like it's just a base for me to start my negotiation and my plan on what's next. But it needs a lot of collaborative effort. Yeah. Hmm.
You have so as we speak about collaborative effort, you spoke as to how it is important to guide stakeholders to the bigger picture. So
Hmm.
what frameworks or communication techniques do you rely on to align the diverse teams?
Okay. So I usually, I follow this three C's framework. Okay. So
Okay.
it's clarity,
Mhm.
context, and curiosity. So first, when let's say someone reaches out to me, I ask them for what is their intention, what's their expectation, and the timeline, and what is your role in this. So to
Mhm.
be very clear on what exactly is needed. Sometimes, usually, when you do this, there are some occasions whereby the stakeholders eventually will be like, do I really need this? So I feel like I do the first line of, to understand whether you really need it. Okay.
Yeah.
Then the next one will be the context. Like, is this necessary for the business? Let's say they want to purchase something, but we are going through like a change, or let's say let's say client is moving, so we can actually reuse their place. So it looks at
Mhm.
we look at different kinds of solution.
Yeah.
So I try to make sure that we are on the same page, and context is there. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And lastly, we look at, I'll say curiosity. So I ask a lot of questions like, why
Okay.
is this
Uh-huh.
necessary? Must we do it now? Is it
Mm-hmm.
urgent? So that's why the most important thing about procurement is to be involved as early as possible,
Oh.
because
Uh-huh.
yeah, really, really. So sometimes someone comes to you, and then they are like, let's I need this, but
Mm-hmm.
they've already been spending like 3 to 6 months on the solution, you know
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but then you realize, if they got you involved earlier, you could have suggested more, because usually a procurement person is, exposed to different clients, different, so
Yeah.
it's like they can always give an input.
True.
Yeah, because
And
they are actually, sorry.
no, no, please, Sandy.
Yeah, because we speak to suppliers, we know what's happening, and
Mm-hmm.
we're very, yeah. But this also depends on the procurement person who
Yeah.
is willing to learn. He
Yeah.
or she has to be willing to know, to just understand what's happening, and to be able to recommend.
Mm-hmm. So
Yeah.
it is more like a consultant's job because
Hmm.
you're exposed to so many sectors. You actually learn to give advice in the correct way possible. And the framework you suggested, I believe that does help with putting forward your thoughts and words in a better way. So
Yes.
I really hope and I'm definitely learning a lot from you two right now with the whole communication framework and the way we should go ahead with it. So if in future I'm taking procurement, I'm gonna apply that. So indirect categories like IT, marketing, office supplies, they're often overlooked, I believe. So yet you have noted that they have a huge impact. So what has been the most surprising insight in managing these categories?
Okay, let me just tell you how I, ended up,
Uh-huh.
focusing on
Yeah.
indirect. So back then I was supporting the APAC region for direct categories. So I had my own set of categories, and then savings is a push. So we keep getting savings and savings. But end of the year, we realized, when we tally the savings with finance and everything, it turns out that we didn't reach our savings target. And then we investigate further, and we realize that actually my colleagues and my teammates, or the organizations, they do not have a travel policy in place. So people have been just swiping their cards to actually
Mm-hmm.
buy travel tickets, and like there's no limit. So we realized we've been spending at least 1.5 million on travel.
Oh,
But
why?
right here, we are trying to save, in the direct categories. We are trying so hard to save. But just because we didn't look at the whole indirect spend, we thought it's under control, but we realized that actually, without any policy, or policy or processes in place, it has been overlooked. So I realized that you have to look at it like, holistically.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So once then, after that, we decided to put in like processes and policy in place, like, if you're traveling for like 7-hour journey, and then you can apply business class. and then it depends on your, you know, your tier.
Mhm.
So eventually then there's savings, and then subsequently over the years, yeah, you are able to you do savings. Because I think learned it the hard way, because I was so working so hard to get savings here, and I
Yeah.
realized, no, I felt so sad. So that's why I also, in one of my posts recently, I was saying it's very important to ensure that others understand and recognize your savings. It could be a
True.
savings to you, but uh like, you know, other departments are like, no, this is not a saving. So it's important that how you calculate savings and how it's you know, recognized is very important. Yeah. So
So then,
yeah.
yeah, no, please tell me.
No, no, it's
So,
okay. Mm,
now I was just gonna say, so this again comes to the whole cycle of communication.
yeah,
So
exactly.
they need to understand how you see it for them to get an idea of the whole costing, I believe.
Yes.
Is that correct?
So yeah, that's
Mm-hmm.
right. So it's important to establish cost saving methodologies,
Mm-hmm.
and then to let the team know this is how we calculate. So, you know, we this is how we calculate. So do it this way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. So back to your question. So the
Mm-hmm.
indirect categories. Then I realized actually they're fun. Because, okay, for example, let's say usually indirect categories come from not, you're not really special. Let's say you're an engineer in a company, you want to
Mm-hmm.
buy spare parts. You definitely know the specs of the spare part, right? But let's say you're an engineer and you want to throw an event, or like a team building, like for example, a team building or an event for your team. You wouldn't really be so sure, you know, on what's happening. So that's when, I mean, I'll categorize that as indirect. So that's when I think a procurement person has to be a bit more hands-on, to be
Mm-hmm.
hands-on and let them, you know, help them out. Because sometimes when it, let's say they're throwing a event, and they might get too ambitious. Oh, I want this food, I want this area, but end of the day, all you want to do is throw an event like for team bonding, you know. So
Mm-hmm.
you need to have a more hands-on approach to let them know, don't deviate from the idea of the whole, you know,
Mm-hmm.
engagement. So that's something very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for me. Yeah.
That does sound very interesting to get understand this side, because as I said, we are so fresh. It's just procurement is purchasing. That's it. It just doesn't get that much idea as we would want it. And this does help like getting an understanding of the sector in reality by getting your side of the story, understanding what you actually do. And this indirect categories was definitely not something I saw directly if I would be in your position. So, wow, that's actually something very awesome to learn today. And
Yeah.
you,
So actually, one
Mhm,
more thing is, so let's say, okay, it's an indirect category, but let's say I'm from a marketing events company.
mhm,
Okay.
yeah,
So
mm,
my direct categories will be like events and all this.
mhm,
So if I'm there, then it is not considered an indirect category, but it's a
mhm,
direct for them.
true.
Do you see it? So it, like, I'm just like if you look at it like like from a different perspective,
Yeah.
you can just say I'm doing indirect. But when it comes to the company, it's for, like, let's say my marketing company, then it's going to be direct. So there you don't really
Mhm,
be expect hands-on, because they are really very good at this. They can
yeah.
teach me a lot. So I've been in a marketing agency before, and that's where I think I learned,
Mhm.
because they have done it a lot of times.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, because it's my specialization, it's going to be direct category for me. But if it's not on in my side of the work, then it's counted as the indirect category.
Not your side of, no, if it's not the core focus of your company's business.
Ah, okay. So it's more like the work which we normally outsource. Can we
Correct.
say?
Could be outsourced, or like let's example HR, you know,
Mhm.
like recruitment, consulting. So
Yeah.
all those that are not supporting the core business. Let's say your core business of the company is food services.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then you are doing recruitment, you are doing training. Usually
Yeah.
it comes to other department, but it could also be, yeah, something that is not directly impacting the business. Mm. Oh,
I really, sorry,
sorry, you're on mute for a while. Sorry. Okay, okay, I can hear you now.
better.
Yeah.
No, I was saying that I really did learn a very new side which I wasn't even aware to be like existed probably, but didn't see it that way. So because for us, what the way we've been seeing it, even in university, is like what you don't doesn't add value, you outsource that. That's how it's
Yeah.
been understood.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. And procurement in can feel very procedural and transactional. So, but you reframed it in a very beautiful way of understanding. So, how do you think that mindset shift makes procurement more inviting for women, especially in the sector? How should women see it to, what do you call it, and not feel intimidated by the sector? What would be your advice on it?
Okay, so like for me, okay, so definitely in my early days when I just started, I'm young, I'm a female, and I'm also a minority in Singapore. So,
Yeah.
you know, I used to be very quiet, you know, I would just be quiet. I will not speak up in meetings, and you know, I will feel like I'm inexperienced. But how actually started speaking up is I had a very supportive mentor and a boss. So he slowly made me go for meetings myself. So I'll represent the team. So I knew that I had to step up for myself. So anything I do my research, I prepare for the meeting, and I go to the meeting. And if there's any issue, I come back and support my team. And that's how I think I started taking, projects myself. So what I can say is, don't be shy. Just
Okay.
give it a go. I think
Mhm.
it's all about, talking to it's really about collaborating, getting to, share your opinions. Don't just keep it to yourself, because when you share an opinion, I mean, because different minds think differently. So you
Yeah,
might never know whatever you voice out, you might never know how it will change others' perspective.
true.
Yep. So it was
Wow.
really something, yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
anyway, and I also I feel like, because I kind of, regional experience, I feel like different countries have different cultures, and it really makes an impact on how it's being seen and done in different, yeah.
So there are gonna be sides of it which are gonna be region specific, but the core advice, if we could consider, could it be just be bold, be yourself in the sector? Would would you say it to be that way? Like as you
I'll,
said, don't be shy.
okay, I'll honestly say, like, start with curiosity. Like, you have a question, you can just, if you're shy to say it out, you can just say, you can just raise your hand and say, anyway, I'm just thinking out loud, and I have
Mhm.
this question, blah blah blah. What do you think? So I
Yeah.
think that's important. So yeah, I mean, you don't have. I mean, no question is silly. Just ask, because don't be afraid. I would say don't be afraid. Just ask. You might never know, what other opportunities, or what other paths, and you that you open up to. Yeah.
Definitely. And I would say I had my first-hand experience with this right now. I didn't know people would agree. I didn't know people would be so willing to give their time for the LLL series that I planned. So, yes, it does matter. But at the same time, I feel as the level increases, so if you are
Mhm.
in a very high level company, then it can be scary to ask questions because we have as I feel, especially as a women, we have the tendency to overthink that is my
Mm.
question stupid, is it something that's basic to know, what if people judge me? So how do we actually stop that feeling?
So yeah. So I think, okay, as you grow older, like as you grow
Mm.
older, you have more experience. So you have
Mhm.
been you should have been in a situation like this before. You'll be more confident, because, like, I've done this before. Okay, I've done this, procurement support for this island. Now we're looking at a building. I have done this before. I have experience. So you must always feel and know that you are valuable, and whatever you are asking or
Yeah.
commenting has value to it. you know so I mean,
Mhm.
if you start off, it is going to be, you might be skeptical, you're not sure, but once you
Yeah.
kickstart, I think it will build your self confidence. and
Mhm.
you will just ask, yeah, you will ask questions, the right questions.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we could say that with experience, with age, it will come naturally to actually be able to speak better,
Yes.
be and if I'm putting it out clearly, for the start, like at my level, the major point to remember is be curious, correct?
Yes. Yes. So when you start, you must be willing to learn.
Uh-huh.
This is like part of school. Just you know, think that it's part of
Yeah.
school. I'm on internship. I'm willing to learn. You must be open to learn. You must be
Mm-hmm.
open to understand. For I mean, you must be willing to criticize. And anyway, most of my I would say most of my bosses that I had, they used to scold me, and I
Mm-hmm.
think that helped a lot. Like I was very positive, you know. I was very
Yeah.
positive, like, you know, this is not how you do it. Can you please do it again? I keep doing and doing. You're like, no, you should never give up, you know. You should never give up until you come to a point whereby, like now my bosses don't ask me anything, which I'm very is like, what? Why are you not asking me anything? You know, I'm saying this. Why not asking me? I find it so weird. And I when I suggest something, they agree to it immediately. I'm like, why are you agreeing? Why are you not challenging me? You know?
Yeah.
So I mean, it's the kind of trust I think you build over time. It's a
True.
good feeling, it's a really good feeling, but it's good when someone, you know, teaches you, mentors you, and you know,
Yeah.
helps you out, because that is when you learn, and you must be willing to, you know, have an open mind and willing to learn, because
Mhm.
this is your foundation.
True.
Hmm.
It is definitely something I'm gonna remember and try to implement in my internships, student
Hmm.
projects, and my first job.
Okay. Oh, is it
So
coming soon?
my
When?
internship is work in progress.
Okay.
I am hoping to get a job soon, but I still need to graduate. That's gonna be next year. So I think after that it will be the first job. But it's really exciting to learn about these different stories about how mentors specifically can make so much impact in your life,
Hmm.
especially like your career growth and pushing you to become better.
Yes, most
And you
definitely.
yeah, the way you have mentioned about your mentors being so supportive gives us a ray of hope that just one person can help us just start off with the journey in a nicer way. So it matters
Yes.
indeed. And you have led like diverse teams in male-dominated spaces. So how do you think is like how was it possible for you to create an inclusive environment? What do you ensure when you think that, okay, I need to ensure everyone feels heard and safe?
Okay, so I mean, I think it comes down to communication. So,
Mm-hmm.
you know, you support your team, you know. I feel like, you know, I have a lot team is like, let's say I'm a very aggressive man, like boss to my team, right? You realize your team is diverse, they have different personalities, they will
Mm-hmm.
be nicer to stakeholders. So it works different way. Like let's say my boss is aggressive, I try to be nice. So I feel like, you know, we are all taking different role because we look at it holistically like a team. So we are not really how do I say, we're not really like individualized. So we work together, and you know, in a male dominated, that's why I think it's very important to be strong, to be bold, to never, you know, be hesitant on what you want to say. Yeah.
Perfect. So that helps to build an environment. So have a voice, be curious, and just communicate. These
Yes,
are gonna my three special
absolutely.
life lessons I'm gonna take from you today.